Hello, this is Workplace Apprenticeship 20 in the PM. I'm your host, Mr. Shindaka. Let's look at loans. This is the last section. It's actually, math-wise, it's not that tough. It's more of the same. That's why I gave you guys the review already. So, what's a loan? Fixed amount of money you borrow all at once. Interest is calculated from the date you receive the money till the final date of the loan. Actually, I'm fresh out of pencils because I need this. I use this one. I don't make it. It's a beauty. When you take out the loan, you usually sign an agreement of how much you'll pay for a certain length of time. The terms of the loan. I'm going to pay this back in 3 years or whatever. This time is referred to as the amortization period. You might think, when have I ever heard of amortization? That's a new word. Have you ever heard of a mortgage? It's spelled similarly too. Mortgage. And now mortgage is just the big loan that you take out for a house. 20 years, 25 years. You can get 30-year ones. Why so long on a mortgage? Because you're buying a house in Regina. I think the average price is like $340 or something like that. $340,000. Like that's $250,000 you're talking. Most people don't have that kind of change kicking around. It takes them 20 years to.
And that kind of change kicking around at all?
Yeah. You might, I don't. Okay, now in a bank, what's a line of credit? It allows you to buy and borrow money as needed to a pre-approved amount. You'll be charged interest only on the amount of money used. So, a line of credit is, if I need $500 or whatever, I would never go to Money Mart or whatever because I'd use my bank account's line of credit. Way cheaper. And it's cheaper than using your credit card also. Overdraft protection. Nowadays, people don't write checks anymore. But have you ever seen a sign at not a grocery store because it's very rare. Have you ever seen a sign at beside a till? NSF check charge $20 or something. NSF. You ever see that? That's not sufficient funds. Back in the day, people used to write checks for things, and so you'd write a check out for $50 at some place. If it was returned to the store as no good, not sufficient funds, then they'd have to try to track you down and also penalize you $20 or whatever they said their penalty was. If you had overdraft protection, your bank would cover you for that $50 as long as it's a reasonable amount that was agreed upon ahead of time. Like I think I got $500 not sufficient fund protection. They cover you. Nowadays, though, that's most likely to occur when you use your bank card or something like this, and you're taking out something, and you might have $200 overdraft or something like that. When you dip into it, though, you'll be charged, most likely. Anyways. You'll hear of some places that offer emergency loans. They're called payday loans. Not a good idea, as they charge very high rates of interest. If you do not make your loan payments as agreed, you're said to be in default. That term there. Legal action can be taken against you. Okay, let's just take a quick look though. The math part of it isn't anything new. By the way, if you're in dire straits and you need money, worst way to get it is a payday loan. Don't do that. Very last resort. The second last resort though, the second worst way, better than a payday loan though, would be a credit card. Third way, then overdraft protection. After that, it's actually, I'd rather use my overdraft than ever borrow from a friend or something like this. Because if you borrow money from a friend, be prepared, and as a friend, if you loan money to someone, borrow, loan. Anyways, be prepared that you might not get it back, and you don't want to lose a good friendship anyways over that. Hi Seneca, I'm just getting your name down that you're here now. I'm not going to enter it right away. We are taking a look at the fourth section here. You want to grab this off. That'd be swell. Okay, Richard's car. This is first page of that. Car insurance was $1,400, due in 2 days. He didn't have the cash available. Now, scenarios come up like this. And if you don't have a credit card and an overdraft, you might have to consider a payday loan. So he went to one. He had to repay the store $1,600 within 2 weeks for $1,400. He's paying off $235 extra, $235.20. What was the daily interest rate for the loan? Now, this is the first time you've ever, in this chapter, that I've ever used the term daily interest rate. And then annual interest rate is B. We always have talked about per annum, annual interest rates. Today we'll talk about daily, just because with payday loans they're so bleeding high that you almost have to. Now, before we get rolling on this here, let's just see here. How much was he charged? Well, how would you do this? If he has to pay back 16,000 or 1,600, sorry, 35.20, and his loan was for 1,400. The interest, basically the extra he has to do, is your 235.20. That's important to figure out before you do anything, right? Yes, Seneca?
Is that the right time?
Maybe not. No, that's physics. Here, I'd say it is. It's tough stuff, though. If you can do it, though, I'll give you credit for it. It's awful if you haven't started. So, 235 bucks, though. That's like his interest. Let's take a look at this here. Remember this formula, I equals PRT? You don't need to memorize it, but we've used it over and over again. 235.20 equals the principal. The principal is what you actually needed to take out. That was that 1,400 bucks. The rate is what you're trying to find here. What was the daily interest rate? Now the time. I want to stop for a second here. I'll wait for you all. Since I'm asking for a daily interest rate, this is the first time. Hi, Tia. You hang on here in the calculator bucket. Don't grab physics. It's tough. She knows. Where was I though? Oh, the time. We want in days only because this question asks you for a daily interest rate. This is the only time you guys have been using days. You're not going to say 14 days out of 365. You just keep it as days. 14. Does that make sense? Only because you asked for daily interest. And that is the norm often when you have these crazy payday loans that you'd report it as a daily rate. Don't take payday loans if at all possible. Payday loans, though, are preferable to doing anything illegal. There you are. It's the only thing I could say that's good about it.
What did you say?
It's preferable than to doing something illegal to get your money.
Yeah, like prostitution. What if someone had to go do that?
Who knows? I'm not even going to comment, Zach, though, okay? Because I'll end up saying something silly or inappropriate, and you and I will both be out of line. But yeah, I'm just saying, payday loans, they have a purpose, but boy, oh boy, hopefully you never have to use it. Now, we solved this kind of equation the other day. You did with me. You remember how we say this number times that number on this side. The R, you can't do much with it, right? So you're going to multiply 14 times 1,400. Said the right number this time. And you type that into a calculator. You might even know what's 14 times 14, 196. And then the zeros added on. Oh, Tamika. You knew what you were doing. You remembered from last time. Now, the next thing you do is to get that letter R alone. So you want the rate is you divide both sides by the 19,600. And you're going to get the answer that's exact. Exact, did you get 1.2? Oh, 0.0?
No, I got 16.8.
Okay, we'll talk in a second here. I'm going to get something for Tamika.
I just divided 235 by 14.
And there's the calculator box too, Tamika. There you go. So what are we doing? This right-hand side here, well, 14 times the 1,400, that's where I get this 19600 from, right? You divided what?
I divided 235.
One. Oh, divided by 14.
Yeah, and I got $16.
Okay, then you still have this side trapped though.
So then that's what you
you'd still have to divide out the 1400. You'll get the same answer as me, though.
So we're going to divide by 14.
The answer you got from the 14. You're doing one thing at a time, sounds like. It sounds like. Now, when you divide this out, to get rid of the one there, you're going to get 0.012. Yeah. Now, that's not quite a percent. You with me on that? You did, didn't you? When you divide the saving. Good. She's the brains of the operation, clearly. Women usually are. It's a good answer when you're surrounded by more women. How do you go from a decimal to a percent? Times by 100. Yeah. So times 100 is making it a percent. 1, 2. Really, when you multiply 0.012, it just moves the decimal twice. 1.2%. That's the daily interest rate. 1% every day. That's crazy, actually. And that's a real interest rate. They may disguise some of those things as a processing fee or service fees or whatever, and stupid things. It's like, but the bottom line is that you're paying crazy rates because look at the annual interest rate. No, wait, just get anxious. Where'd you guys get the delicious food from? The hospital Robin's done that. Oh, I never even thought of that. Oh, cafeteria. Yeah. Oh, okay, beside the Robin's. You're where? I see Robin's donut cups, that's all. Okay, stop there as well. What was the annual interest rate for this loan? Well, for one day, it's 1.2. We'll always use 365 for our days. Don't worry about leap years. So you're going to just say, well, 365 days for the full year, 1.2% every day. That's going to give you 438%. That's your yearly interest rate. Like, that is outrageous. Credit cards are crazy when they're at 20% a year, like 22%, 19%. This is just sickening. You can't win with a payday loan. Anyways, you guys with me on that? The next thing is actually looks complicated at first, but you'll see right away. Brayden, you're good? I'll wait for a second. Never even thought of going to the hospital for their cafeteria. Okay. We've got a table here. Let's take a look at this. Because you'll be using it. It's really not that mathematical, but you need to learn how to use a loan table. Actually, believe it or not, when I was even with loan calculators and stuff like this, now you can go online and say, well, if I borrowed this, how much would I be paying every month? I was at, just only 2 years ago, and I was talking to my banker about a little loan. We looked at a paper table, just for quick estimations. Oh yeah, big payments about, they looked it up quickly. And so it's not like this isn't used. So think of this. This is for payments if you took out $1,000 borrowed. That's all of this. And at any given interest rate. If your interest rate was, and I'll choose one, 4.5% here. We'll just use this as an example, how to look it up. And you needed 3 years to pay that back, I guess it was. You would look, say after 3 years, I want it paid off after 3 years. If you took out $1,000, you don't have to mark anything on here, I'm just showing you how to read it. You would have monthly payments of $29.75 if you want to pay it off in 3 years. monthly. This is, as the title says, the monthly payment schedule for $1,000 borrowed. Compound interest, compounded monthly. So, here's the crazy thing, eh? Like in 1 year, that's $85. That might be hard for you to afford. $29 isn't that bad. But look at this, though. Here's the weird thing. After $29, 3 years. There's a big difference between a 2-year and a 3-year loan, right? Look at this. Actually, it's surprising. A 4-year loan, it's not that much cheaper, is it? But it's going to take you that 4th year, and you know how that's going to add up. It's going to take more out of your pocket. And if it's only 22 something, $18 for a 5-year loan, you're practically, compared to 3, it's almost double the time you're paying, but it's $28 to $29. That's not a huge savings, is that? The longer you take a loan out, the more money you're wasting in that you're going to be paying more interest for a longer period of time. So you got to choose something that's comfortable for you. Now, people don't usually take out loans of just $1,000. If I took out a loan of $5,000 instead of $1,000 for 3 years, wouldn't it make sense that I just multiply this 29.75 by 5? It is what you do. We'll go through an example right away though. So just keep in mind this table and most tables I've ever seen, actually all that I've seen, are for $1,000, and then you just adjust accordingly, okay? Let's take a look at Stan the Man. Stan the Man from Moscow came. Borrowed $4,500 on his credit card to do some home rentals. The loan has an annual, or from his, I said credit card, credit union. Credit card, you'd never get that rate. The loan has an annual interest rate of 5.75%, amortized for 3 years. You'll need the personal loan calculator on page 2 to answer this question. What is Stanley's monthly payment? So what we're going to look up in a second here is at 5.75% and 3 years, what is the monthly payment for $1,000? Well, that's, so I looked this up, actually. 5.75%, 3 years, right? I get $30.31, right? Does that make sense?
That's for $1,000.
That's for $1,000 at that rate. Now let's just do this here though, because you guys know the math. Once I do this, I think you guys will go crazy cuckoo over this stuff. If his payment is $30.31 if he took out $1,000, does this look familiar? We don't care. He's not taking out $1,000. He's taking out $4,500, $4,500. How would I put the other side down then? Pardon? On which, top or bottom? Bottom. So yeah. This is the monthly payment for $1,000. We want the monthly payment for $4,500. You guys know how to solve this. Once again, same math equation to solve probably for actually 80% of life's problems outside of the math classroom. You could solve with that. Yippers. You'll be back soon? Yep. Then I'm cool with that. You know what I did too? How many cents? Because you always keep 40, good. Always keep 2 decimal places in dollars and cents, right? Because that's where the cents go. Even though you can't pay cash anymore for 47 cents and stuff like that on your credit cards or your bank statements and stuff like this, and bank card, those cents will be deducted and added and stuff like that. We still report it to the nearest cent. Calculate the total amount he'll pay off over 3 years. So if he's paying $136.40 for 1 month, in 3 years, how many months go by? Oh. 3 years, how many months go by? 36. 12, 12, 12. That isn't the question, but we need to know that 36 months. So, he's got 36 payments of 136. $49.10, 40 cents. Good one. Okay. So the charge on the loan, that was for, I was stuck for a second. That was for a loan of, you borrowed $4,500. You just do the subtraction as what, how much extra you paid. That's how much, $49.10, right? $4,910. You only took out $45, so the rest was just the interest that you paid, the charge extra, right? $410. 40 cents extra. So, think about that. Over 3 years, $400 extra. That's, if you would have taken that same amount of money out for at the same rate, but for 5 years, smaller monthly payments, but when you paid it back, you would have paid more than $410 back too, like extra. The longer you extend your payments, maybe the easier life will be, but you'll be stuck in debt for a longer period of time. Now, the assignment, ready to roll. I'm going to stop the presses here. Not that one. Shoop dooby doo.